Real Talk with ReZsaun.
Hello world and welcome back to Real Talk with ReZsaun when nothing's off limits. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me and I appreciate that. I am your host, ReZsaun Lewis. Now here on Real Talk, anything is debatable, so on any given week we could be discussing anything from sports to music to politics. You name it, we'll discuss it. Now, for those of you who are new to the show, I break my show down into sections. Into sections. Now, I'm actually doing a new format of the show than I normally used to do. I used to do my show in parts where I had a certain format. I'm going to change it up tonight. So for those who've been fans of the show, been watching the show for a while, you're going to find that we have different formats. So the format that I'm using now is going to start out with what's called the Cheers section, right? So the Cheers section is going to highlight some great things that have happened in the last week, just some shout outs, right? The second section is going to be topics, current events, and then we'll have a relationship/family segment, and then we'll go into our parting thoughts, which I'm calling the jewels of the week. The jewels of the week. And I'll talk more about that as I get to it. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Like I said, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me, and that is something that I truly value, is that you take the time to watch this show. I was telling somebody today that and I guess I'll get right into it. I was talking to somebody today at an event. As you noticed, the show is running kind of late tonight, and it's running late because I was at an event for an awards ceremony that I'm actually a finalist for. So they have the Spotlight Awards, which are born and bred in the Low Country, started by Miss Deborah Anderson Powell, who's the owner of the Spot 47 Fair Deal Grocery store in downtown Charleston. And she started this event to celebrate and to honor people in the community who are doing great work. Now, to simply be on that list is an amazing opportunity for me, something that I'm truly grateful for. Some really good friends of mine are also on that list. Shout out to Tisa Wack with We Are Their Voices. Shout out to Samuel Bellamy with SC Mentors. Shout out to John Koff of Stone Soup Coalition. Shout out to a young lady I met tonight, Miss Aisha Miller. Miss Aisha Miller, who's doing great work with Knowledge Erases Hate. And so many other organizations that are out there are Raphael and Serena James, who have their production company, as well as Life on Aisle 9. But they do so many things in the community that deserve to be honored. And this young lady, Ms. Deborah Anderson Powell, put this event together to celebrate the great people who are doing great things in the community. And I have been listed as one of those finalists. So shout out, so thank you so much. If you think that I do great things, thank you. I don't do it to be recognized, but when you are acknowledged, it is something that definitely should be said, how much it means to you. It means a lot to me that people recognize me for that. But I didn't say that to brag on me. I said that to say this. I was at that event, and I met Miss Aisha Miller, who apparently has been watching the show for a while. And she said, she was really excited to meet me because she said, she's been watching the show and she's been a fan of the show for a while. So when people tell me that, it's truly humbling, because I know that at any given time you can turn on your Facebook and there's 30, 40, 50, 60 people going live, and you take the time to watch these. That means that you're invested in this product. You're invested in my process and the way I do things. So for that, I thank you. I thank you so much. With that being said, let's get into the show. So the first segment that I'm going to be doing tonight is called Cheers, right? So Cheers is a segment to shout out people who are doing amazing things in the world, not just here in the Low Country, but across the world. And the first one that I want to talk about is LeBron James. LeBron James is actually doing an event. How you doing, Ms. Dudley? How's it going? What up, KJ? LeBron James has actually put his support behind an initiative which is designed to help people who are in college to get the rights to their likeness. Now, you may not know this, but if you're in college and you are a sports star, you're a sports figure. If you're a sports figure in college and you play football for the University of South Carolina, you cannot get paid for your likeness. You cannot get paid for your likeness. Now, the University of South Carolina can pay for your likeness. The NCAA can get paid for your likeness, but you cannot get paid for your likeness. And the state of California actually has a bill out there that will help athletes that will allow athletes to not be able to lose their college eligibility because of the fact that they get paid for their likeness. So if you go to a autograph signing and you want to sign autographs for money, you can do that and you can make money off of it without losing your college eligibility, which puts your ability to make money in jeopardy. So shout out to LeBron James for putting his name behind that. LeBron James didn't go to college. I mean, he was able to, because of the rules at the time, he was able to go straight from high school to the NBA and change the life of him, his family, and the people that he cares about. LeBron James wants to make that opportunity available to people who were in similar situations but were forced to go to college. So because they're forced to go to college, they should not lose their right to make money off of their name because everybody else is. I mean, I wouldn't like it if, everybody else is making money off of Real Talk with ReZsaun, but ReZsaun couldn't make money off of Real Talk with ReZsaun. That'd be really dumb, don't you think? But they are. Anyway, that's another discussion for another day. Another thing that LeBron James is doing that he deserves cheers for LeBron James. Nike announced that they're planning to open the LeBron James building on their Portland campus in 2020. Now that's crazy, right? So let me read this tweet that LeBron James sent out on Instagram. It said, man, this is so surreal. I got the call that this was happening and I couldn't believe it. I was literally shedding tears. You guys know where I came from, but if you don't know, I come from the inner city projects, single mother, only child. Statistics would suggest that I would never ever make it out, let alone be alive to tell you about it. Now I have my own building at the Nike world headquarters where my family's legacy and I will live on forever. Shout out to LeBron James. That's dope. That is super dope. The fact that, something that he has invested his time, energy, resources into is paying dividends for him on this level. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I wish the best to like I want that for everybody who comes, who is able to make a name for themselves. To be able to reach so high in the heights of your life, of your, endeavors, that people are naming buildings after you. Can't wait to hear that about you. So shout out to LeBron James for that one. The next one on the shout out section is Rafael Nadal. Rafael Nadal won the U.S. Open. I believe that puts him he's one behind Roger Federer. For my sports fan, he's one behind Roger Federer for in the major wins. So shout out to Rafael Nadal. Nicki Minaj retired from rap music. Nicki Minaj retired from rap music to focus on her family. Now, since this article actually came out, she's actually refuted that claim that she retired and said that she's not actually thinking about retiring. She probably overreacted and she probably won't retire. But we'll see. If she did, if that's what she thinks she needs to do to better her life and to be able to focus on the family that she wants to have, then by all means, I hope that she does so. Because, I mean, why not, right? Why not focus on your family? If you think you need, how you doing, Tamika? If you think you need to step away from music and hip hop and those things to be able to make the music that you want to make, then do it. I wish her all the best. I also think it's an interesting conversation that women believe they need to step away from their career to focus on a family, which is something that we could definitely discuss one day. I don't have all my facts together for that one yet, but it's just a little seed to drop there on that one. I guess with all the touring and stuff, and I'm just thinking out loud on this one because I haven't given this one a whole lot of thought, but I wanted to give her a shout out, because that's what she decides to do, then cool. But I don't think she should have to if she doesn't want to. Hey Randy, we're not doing it today, right, buddy? It's my dog Randy. So let's get into our next topics, which we're moving into current events. And in these current events, I want to talk about this story, this post that was made, and I want to talk about the reaction to it. So let's talk about this one. So the link, and like I told you, I like to post links so you guys can see exactly what I'm reading and what I'm getting my information from, because context is important. Context matters, and that's really what we're going into now, is a story that came out, excuse me, it was a picture that was put out there, and a lot of people reacted to the picture without actually knowing what the picture was about. A lot of people reacted to the photo and to the picture without actually knowing the background behind it because of the way the person, join us. We are live. The person put the picture out there, and because of the way the picture looked, people reacted, and because of the way the people reacted, it got a lot of feedback. Now, so I just shared the link for you guys. I'm going to read it to you. It's a photo of, and this I'm going to describe it to you for those who can't see it. It's a photo of a white woman cutting the dreads off of a young man, right? A white woman cutting the dreads off of a young man. And it's from a group called Crushers Club, right? And it says, and another crusher let me cut his dreads off. It's symbolic of change and their desire for a better life. So it's this woman, white woman, and she's cutting the dreads off of this young black man who is sitting there. Now, the post that was put out there says this. And this is why it's important to understand what I'm talking about here when I talk about meme culture. Meme culture. All right, it says Crushers Club is one of the orgs set to receive part of Jay-Z's $400,000 initiative to inspire change. This org encourages black youth to let white women cut their locks off for a better life, encourages and supports black youth in becoming cops to lock up their peers, and has been recognized by the FBI and apparently has an overall cozy relationship with the Chicago Police and Chicago Police Department, and one of the most corrupt departments in the country. Inspire change looks like the same old BS to me, and as some of us tried to tell y'all. So let's think about this. All right. What up, Pete? What up, Pete? What up, Jaden? How's it going? Thank you so much. Let's talk about this. So first of all, you have the photo of the young lady taking the photo, which is misleading because the lady says that So you have the photo, which everything on face value, if you don't look into it, looks really bad. It looks really incendiary. It looks like something that I would not ever, ever, ever support. But then we as people, especially as adults, should have the wherewithal to say, well, let me look more into this organization and find out more about what this organization represented. So with that in mind, I want to tell you about this organization. Before I even talk about the picture, let's talk about the organization, because that's the part that's important. That is the part that's important. So this group is called Crushers Club. Now, Crushers Club, according to what the lady said, says that the organization encourages black men to let white women cut their dreads. That is no way, shape, form, or fashion what the organization is about. Now, I go to the organization's website, which I'm going to give you as well, because it's important, again, to have context. All right? It's important to have context. The point of this organization is to take young people. It says our mission is to be the strongest alternative to gangs. We arm young people with the support and skills they need to restore their lives and improve their neighborhood. Crushers Club is rooted in 4 ideals: respect, discipline, ownership, and love that give our members a fighting chance. Now, this organization started out in the city of Chicago, to my understanding. And this organization has sponsors such as the Chicago Cubs, Respect 90, the Jewish United Fund, Prince Charitable Trust, Sky Ranch Foundation, the Field Foundation of Illinois, the Albert Pick Jr. Fund, Transwestern, the University of Chicago Medicine, Nike Community Impact Fund, John Hancock. All these organizations put their stamp on this organization. And it's really hard for me to believe that all these people would put their stamp and their name on an organization whose goal is to make black boys let white women cut their dreads. So let's talk about what they've done. Because a lot of people who come out with these posts, when you look at what they've done compared to the people that they're complaining about, it doesn't match up. So let's go to their results page, right? Let's go to their results page. It says 90% of the people in their organization improve their academic performance. 90%. It costs it costs $85,000 to incarcerate a youth for a year. As a youth diversion program, their goal is to stop that. It says it costs less than $5,000 to redirect with Crushers Club for a year. So they save the state and the government $80,000 a year per kid. per kid. Per kid. After being arrested, 80%, 87% of juveniles are reincarcerated within 3 months. But 90% of crushers, or the kids in their organization, are not rearrested after a year of programming. After going through their program, 90% of those kids, 90% of those kids are not rearrested again. But did they focus on that when they put this meme out there to try to be incendiary and try to tear these people's name down? No, they didn't. What they did was they said, oh, we're going to put this out there because, one, we're mad at Jay-Z for his deal with the NFL. So we want to try to poke a hole in that. So we're going to find an organization that is actually changing lives for the better, and we're going to tear them down. Why? Because we didn't like a picture they put up there. Right? Now, so let's go back to the picture, right? The picture is of a white woman cutting a young man's dreads. And she said, this young man let me cut his dreads. She didn't say, we made him let me cut his dreads. Let's also think about this. Why does this young man want this lady to cut her dreads? Why does she want him to cut his dreads? Why does he want her? Out of anybody he could have chosen, why did he choose her? Well, if I entered into an organization that changed my life, and I decided that I wanted to pursue a career in something, and I think that the way to do that is to cut my hair, then maybe the person that I want to cut my hair is somebody that I believe changed my life. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Let me ask you this. Does it make more sense? Does that make more sense than I join an organization and the organization forces black men to have white women cut their hair? What do you think? What do you think? To me, that just makes sense. It makes much more sense that this young man had this lady come into his life who changed his life for the better. He was gang banging. He was in and out of prison. And he decided, I want to change my life around. I've seen many people say that when they decide to change their life around, they make a major change. They cut their hair. Some women call it the big chop. And this happens. And what do we decide to do instead of saying, hey, let's applaud, because I bet you this. When these 90% of young people are not going back to prison, they're not making posts to highlight the great things that organization is doing. They're not. They're not. I also promise you this, and this is another problem, because the larger discussion that we're having right now is about meme culture. Meme culture. We see a meme and we assume that everything on that meme is true. Despite the history, despite the facts. Nobody who looks at these memes and shares these memes out with blatant lies on them, when they find out that the lies are not true, they don't come back out and say, hey, y'all, I was wrong, my bad. Nobody does that. Nobody says, my bad, I was off base on that one. Nobody says that. Instead, what they do is, they just say, oh, move on to the next topic. Let's just change topics. Let's just change topics. It's so much easier to change topics than to actually acknowledge that the things that we said could harm somebody's life. Think about it. Let's say somebody who was in charge of that program decided, somebody who they decided, well, this negative backlash is too much. I don't want to deal with it. And because I don't want to deal with it, I'm going to stop doing it. But guess what, y'all? All the people that were being helped by that program is no longer being helped. Do you think these people who are being incendiary, do you think they're going to say, oh, well, now we need to create a program to make up for the lives that were being saved by that program? No, they won't. Because they weren't doing it because they care about those people. They were doing it because they want to get a reaction. We got to stop doing that meme. We got to stop meme culture, y'all. We got to stop meme culture. And no, it doesn't have to be a race thing, bro. You're absolutely right. It should not be a race thing. It should not be a race thing. The fact that she's a white woman should not matter. If she's a woman, I don't care. If you want to change the lives of young people, I don't care if you're black, brown, purple, green, orange, blue. Let's do the work. Let's stop playing race politics when it comes to our children. Because I promise you, the same things that are negatively impacting poor black kids also negatively impact poor white kids. These are facts. When we talk about incarceration, right? We talk about incarceration. We know that jails are overrun with black men. We know this. We know this. But I promise you, if we put a program around that helped young, poor black boys from getting in trouble, it would also help poor white boys get in trouble. Do you know how I know this? Because I've never seen an organization that says, no, we don't want white people in it. But again, that's another issue for another day. All right? Let me know your thoughts, man. You agree, you disagree? Have you seen the meme? But when we talk about memes, just not just this meme in particular. I mean, the meme even goes on to say that the organization encourages black people, black boys, to join the police force as though that's a bad thing. So we'd rather have more gang members than police officers? Like, think about what we're saying. Think about what we're putting out there. Would they rather those young black boys be gang members or police officers? Give me police officers, man. Every single time. 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10. That's crazy. Like, that is crazy to me that people think that way. In 2019, people think that way. How? How is that possible? I don't know, man. Let me know your thoughts. You know, if you agree, if you disagree, let me know what you think about this. I'm definitely interested in your thoughts. I'm going to move on to the next topic, and I will react to your responses. Hopefully, you guys can see the video and everything okay. It looks like on here my feed is being a little bit interrupted, but I'm going to keep rolling. All right, I'm going to keep rolling. And thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this is Real Talk with ReZsaun. Nothing's off limits. I am your host, ReZsaun Lewis. And today we're talking about a few topics. I already talked about this, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I want to talk to you now about Rotten Tomatoes. So let's talk about Rotten Tomatoes. Now, if you don't know what Rotten Tomatoes is a site that is used. Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry. Before I go into Rotten Tomatoes, I want to read this comment. It says the organization clearly understands community policing policy, which relies on community members becoming police officers. This is proven to lower crime and increase graduation rates. If our issue is with the police, chances are the issue is that the police who are serving our communities don't know the people in our communities. And I've spoken about this on the show several times. The fact that because the police who are serving our communities don't know the people in the communities, these people are nameless, faceless figures. You're less likely to shoot Johnny, who is Bernice and Frank's son. I know his mom. I know his grandma. I know this kid. I've known this kid since he was little. You're less likely to shoot that kid than you are to shoot a kid that you've never met, who's a nameless, faceless figure who's just doing something that you think is wrong, that you're afraid of. But when we raise our children and we say, hey, young man, you could be a police officer. You'd be a very good police officer. Shout out to Chief Reggie Burgess, North Charleston police chief. Born and raised in North Charleston, and now he's the police chief. I'd take 1 million Reggie Burgesses. Why? Because Reggie Burgess understands it. He understands it. He knows those people in that community. So you know, like we cannot overstate the importance of good programs in the organization, in the world, in the community to help young people become better adults. Whatever that takes, man, let's do the work. Anyway, so let's move forward. Sticks and stones. All right, so Dave Chappelle, if you don't know what Rotten Tomatoes is a website that is used to critique, to let you know pretty much what is worth watching. So there's lots of different shows out there, you know, when you watch a movie, new movies come out, and when that movie comes out, you know, there's a review of some sort that's put out there on these websites. So this website has 2 different types of reviews, right? So there's the reviews from people who watch the movie, so that's the audience, and then there's reviews from the critics. Now I'm going to go back and check this, right? Because last week I talked about, not last week, 2 weeks ago I talked about the Dave Chappelle Sticks and Stones special, which has been heavily applauded for its willingness to go there, to be creative in critiquing society. When we talk about cancel culture, when we talk about the way the world has reacted to things in the last few years. We talked about, people canceling people, the Me Too movement, and all those things. And he made light of a lot of things that have been really serious. We're in a very serious time in our country. The audience response on this, right, to that special was 99% positive. 99% positive. We cannot get 99% of people anywhere to agree on anything in our country, especially in this political climate. 90% of people, right? Now, somehow, some way, though 99% of people think that was a really good special, Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it 31%. They gave it 31%, which led me to wonder, how is that possible? How is it possible that the same website that the audience watched this special and said, this thing is hysterical, I love it, 99% of all people agree on it, the critics gave it 31% positive. 31%? So let's look at how that happens. And that happens because the people who are critiquing the art are not the people who the art was intended for. There's also a high likelihood, and I don't want to cast any aspersions, but if you look at the profiles, hey Randy, have a seat. If you look at the profiles of the people who are critiquing this art, they seem to fit a certain demographic. And that demographic is not African Americans for the most part. I don't think I saw any African Americans who critiqued the special for the Sticks and Stones. Like, none. How is it possible that you have a reputable and this is something that speaks to something larger when we talk about diversity. We talk about things like you have Gucci that creates a hoodie or a turtleneck that looks like blackface. You have H&M that puts out an ad where a kid is wearing a monkey t-shirt. You have all these racially insensitive things. You have the Kylie Jenner Pepsi commercial. You have all these racially insensitive things that are done, and you ask, how does this happen? And it's because there's not diversity in these boardrooms. And with Rotten Tomatoes, it's not diversity in the critics. You couldn't find any black people to critique stuff? Huh? On the internet? Huh? How is that possible? So again, all I'm saying is we really need to reevaluate the way that we are putting the people that we're putting our trust in when it comes to these things. And y'all know I'm not, the revolutionary black bliggity black guy, but I'm gonna call things what they are. I'm gonna call it how I see it. Somebody please let Randy out. I'm gonna call it how I see it. I'm gonna call it how I see it. And this one here is dead wrong. It's not possible that the nation, right? They had 35,000 people. Over 35,000 people rated this special. That were from the audience, people who watched this special. 35,000 said, we love it. 99% of 35,000 people liked it. They had 16 critics and only a 31% positive rating. How is that possible? I'm just saying. Just something to think about, just throwing it out there. Let me know your thoughts. If you saw the special, let me know what you think about it. If you think it was 31% good, like even if you read the responses from the critics, and I want to read a few of these to you guys, right? And let me know if you agree with these sentiments. Sticks and Stones registers as a temper tantrum, the product of a man who wants it all: money, fame, influence, without much having to answer to anyone. Sticks and Stones exist as a defiant design to intentionally offend large swaths of the audience Chappelle deems too thin-skinned and easily outraged, while serving up simple, low-bar yucks to anyone yearning for validation of their anti-PC stance. How is that possible? Like dropping in on a rascally uncle who doesn't know or doesn't care how much he disappoints you. Like, how are these the critics? I'm sorry. And I'd imagine, and I guess they say these critics come from, nationally, accredited magazines. Well, again, hey, magazines, how diverse is your readership? And does your readership match what you're putting out there? Because if that's what you're, catering to, I'm glad I don't read your, I'm glad I don't read your magazine. It's definitely not for me. And I actually hope that your magazine goes out of business. Just saying. Paper's dying. Anyway, got some comments. I see you, Ashley. Thank you for watching. I've always found Rotten Tomatoes to be the opposite of what it actually is. If it's a bad show / movie, Rotten Tomatoes is all over it with high ratings. If it's great with high popularity, Rotten Tomatoes is lower. Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is crazy. And what's crazy, Ashley, is that I am a person who's actually believed in Rotten Tomatoes, up until this point. And then, but when this happened, I was like, whoa, they didn't like that? You didn't like that? Like, that was really good. Like, he nailed it in terms of comedy. And again, what comics do is they take really serious subjects and they make you laugh about them so the world doesn't feel like such a bad place. That's what comedians do. If we're not going to let comedians make those jokes, if we're not going to let comedians make us think differently about these subjects, then we're just not willing to listen to outside ideas outside of what are already our own, which is something that's already killing our country already. The fact that if somebody doesn't agree with me, I don't want to hear what they have to say, that's a problem. Maybe there's something about what that person is thinking about that you should be considering, and it might make you think differently about the way you feel about this. I'm just saying. And again, you have the right to disagree with me because that's how this world works. Like, we don't all have to agree on everything. We are not a monolith. That's one of my favorite Key and Peele skits. We are not a monolith. We don't have to all agree on everything, right? We don't have to all agree on everything. We can decide to disagree. We can decide to have differing opinions. We can decide that, we can just decide to be different, and that's okay. That is definitely okay. I'm keeping it moving. Rolling through these topics. I wanted to talk about the Kanye West church, right? The Kanye West church services. So I did not have that one pulled up already, so I'm gonna pull that up for you, guys. Kanye West, and what Kanye West has is the Sunday service. And I had all the other articles pulled up, but somebody asked me to talk about this, and this is crazy. So people it's like people are invested in this show, and I love that they are. Like, to the point, like, people will come to me and say, hey, you should really talk about this on next week's show. People will say, you should talk about that. And a good friend of mine, Latasha Bellamy, shout out to Tasha Bellamy and Bellamy Photography, Samuel Bellamy, some of my good friends, I would say some of my best friends, and I really appreciate their role in my life. But tonight we were talking, and she said, I want you to talk about this Kanye Sunday service thing. So I wanted to talk to you guys about Kanye's Sunday service, right? Yeah, Kanye's competing with you in Ike Church. I see you, Sean. All right, so I'm going to read you guys the article, and I just posted it. It says, rapper's pop-up performance comes to New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Although details were only finalized on Friday, word began leaking out almost immediately about the special guest during service Sunday at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. The influential rapper Kanye West brought his pop-up series of Sunday performances called Sunday Service, drawing members and celebrities alike to the mega church in Stonecrest, led by senior pastor Jamal H. Bryant. Lines waited outside New Bethel. Not New Bethel. That's my church. Shout out to New Bethel. Sounds of praise. Lines waiting outside New Bethel. New Birth began forming several hours before the service. West has been making such appearances on Sundays this year, including one in Dayton, Ohio, to help the community in the wake of the mass shooting on Easter Sunday. So what Kanye West does with this Sunday service, right, is he just has a bunch of singers, musicians, artists, all these people who are out here, and all they're doing is making music. They're just making music. Like, they're singing, they're playing instruments, and they're just working together. It's not planned. They don't rehearse. It's literally just spur of the moment stuff, and it's really, really popular. It's extremely popular. I did not know how popular this thing really was until until David Letterman actually went out and he covered it. David Letterman has his Netflix special, so if you haven't checked that out, it's amazing. And it's amazing because it's so many people there and it's just music. It's really, really good music, but it's not actually about God, y'all. It's called Sunday service, but it's not actually about God, which is kind of weird that this guy took his Sunday service to a church. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But I mean, that's Kanye being Kanye. Can't mad at Kanye being Kanye, but you know he does his thing. You can't get mad at that. Shout out to the church trying to go outside of the walls of the church to try to benefit the lives of people. If Pastor Jamal Bryant believes that that's the best thing to get the people to get the word of God, then go for it. But you also have to ask yourself, what are you trading for that? What are you trading to bring in that audience? What are you trading to bring in that audience? I definitely think you should reach out outside of the four walls of your church. I definitely do. But I also believe that it's important that if we're doing this, that we know what we're doing and we know why we're doing it and we know what we're giving up to bring those people in. I'm just saying. Something to think about. All right? Thank you guys so much for watching, man. This has been a really fun night. I'm whipping through these topics, and I actually only have one more topic to go. Let me think. Because I did not write down a family segment. I did not write down a family/relationship segment. But since I came on late, I'm going to skip that one tonight. I'll do it again in 2 weeks because I didn't write anything down to do particularly anyway. And I don't want to just do anything. So my final topic for this evening, which will be my parting thoughts for this evening, is a new segment that I'm calling my parting thoughts / Jewel of the Week. Now, I'm doing this like this for a reason. I'm going to tag the person. My parting thoughts going forward are going to be my jewels of the week. So I've started doing something that I call my jewels, right? And what jewels is, jewels are the things that I see. I have a very positive timeline, praise God. I have a timeline that is always encouraging me, always, inspiring me. Like, I'm very blessed. It's not hard to be positive because of the amount of positive words and positive people that are around me and that are in my life. And that is not shortened. That's not at all missed in my timeline. So every morning, when I wake up in the morning and I start looking at social media, and yes, I do look at social media first thing in the morning. You can feel how you feel about that. I don't care. But yes, I wake up, I pray, and I look at social media. And I look at social media because there's always so many positive things that are on my timeline first thing in the morning. I have my good friend Samuel Bellamy, who posts a lot of great things. You'll see a lot of my jewels come from him. I have a lot of positive stuff that comes from this guy named Brian Heat, who's an amazing motivational speaker. If you don't know about Brian Heat, he's amazing. I'm a big fan of his, and I enjoy listening to him speak. And I also enjoy his motivational memes that he puts out there. So I share those and I say jewels. But my parting shots, my jewels of the week will be one that specifically spoke to me throughout the week. And this is one that I wanted to share with you guys. And I just shared the link, and I'm going to put it here so I can read it for myself. And I'm going to talk about it after I read it to you, because these are my parting thoughts. So the post said, all right, it said, what I've come to realize about my journey is that all the success that I thought I was ready for at 20 and 21 years old, I really wasn't ready for it all. I couldn't imagine myself then getting notoriety when what I needed was growth, maturity, and self-reflection. I needed space to succeed and fail, to be right and wrong, and develop healthy ways to respond to that. In hindsight, I am grateful that I was given that time. Where I am right now, in the midst of opportunities I've worked hard for, is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I guess the moral to this, The moral of this is to chase the moments of discomfort that grow you, mature you, and lead you to self-reflection. Work to develop ways to push through the highs and the lows. I think if we do that as consistently as we can, we'll be able to trust the timing of our lives. I loved that. I love that post. I love that post. And so that's going to be my parting thoughts for the week. My parting thoughts for the week are this. When I was 20, 21 years old, there were things that I wanted in my life that I begged God for, that I didn't get. I didn't get them then. And there's a reason that I didn't get them then. One, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for what I was asking God for. You know, God knows your heart. God knows your circumstances better than you do. Right? So there's probably something at 21 years old that you were asking God for that you weren't ready for. There's probably some stuff right now that you're asking God for that you're not ready for. And if God gives it to you and he puts it in your lap right now, you're going to go crazy. You're going to lose your mind because you're not ready for that thing. Be patient. Because the things that I asked God for at 2021, I didn't get. But the things that I'm ready for at 37, there's nothing I can ask God for that I'm ready for at 37 that God does not supply. And if God doesn't say yes, it's because I'm not ready for it yet. So just keep biding my time. I say the same to you. If you don't have it yet, you're not ready for it yet. Keep preparing yourself for the day when you are. So that when God gives it to you, it'll be a blessing to you and you'll be a blessing to others. With that being said, I'm going to end the show. So let me cue up my music. Shout out to Sean June. Which one are we playing this time? I don't know. Let's go with this one. All right, Sean June. Yeah. Wrap my show up. Thank you guys for watching, man. This means everything to me. It really does. Thank you so much for watching this week. Reminder that the show is now split into two parts. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m., I'll be interviewing my local celebrities. And on Sundays at 7 p.m. is my normal live show. This week's local celebrity spotlight will shine on next week. Oh, on Tuesday. Sorry. This Tuesday, I have, Craig Q. King. Craig Q. King, who is a writer, author, educator, and he has an event called Craig Q. King Celebration of Life. Please tune in to find out about his journey, his education advocacy, and the things that he's doing to better the world. If you are doing something in the community that you would like a light shined on, reach out to me on the Real Talk lines. That's 843-900-6847. That's 843-900-6847. Or you can email me at realtalkwithReZsaun@gmail.com so that we can discuss getting you on the show. If you'd like to be made aware of when I go live, because sometimes it is unscheduled, please be sure to click the follow tab on the page and turn on the notifications so that you will know when something new has been posted to the page. In the meantime, follow me on social media to stay up to date on what's happening with Real Talk with ReZsaun. On Twitter, I am at Real Talk ReZsaun. On Facebook, I am at Real Talk with ReZsaun. On YouTube, I am at Real Talk with ReZsaun. Listen, if you're on YouTube, please follow me on YouTube. I'm trying to increase my YouTube viewership because you can't monetize without being on YouTube. So I'm trying to monetize and make some money off this thing and get better at it. You feel me? Periscope, I'm at Real Talk ReZsaun. On Instagram, I'm at Real Talk ReZsaun. Feel free to leave comments, questions, or whatever else you'd like to say in the comment section or in the message section. I love reading your messages and getting your feedback, even if it's negative. If you watch the show and you're like, I love what I heard, let me know. If you watch the show and you're like, I didn't really like it, let me know why. I want to improve. I want to get better. I'm also currently accepting invitations for speaking engagements and event hosting opportunities. If you'd like for me to speak at or host your event, you can request me through my Facebook page or you can email me at Real Talk with ReZsaun. In closing, always remember that God is everything and without him we are nothing. So never forget where your help comes from. And also remember that if a man doesn't stand for something, he's bound to fall for anything. Now that's Real Talk. See y'all soon. Peace.